What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I know. It's been a long time since the last video, but for some good reasons. We've been waiting on some parts and changing up a bunch of stuff. If y'all have me on Instagram, you've seen that I've been listing all of my E85 parts for sale. As the last bit of hoses coming out of that. And we are finally going methanol. So I talked to Flacco. If you don't know, get in on his stuff for his truck. You can win his little truck. Well, not his little truck, record holding truck. Just buy some stickers from him. But talked to Flacco. He told me what size injectors and everything to get and all that. So we're making the official switch from E85 to methanol now. So hopefully pick up a couple tenths, I hope. I don't know how much it'll really pick up. But here's some of the goodies we've been waiting on. Pro 600. Got to get all the spark to it. And some billet atomizers. Some 550s is what Flacco wants me to run. He said, you know, I'm not going to ever get close to maxing those out with my stock block. So yeah, so we got some billet atomizers, best injectors you can buy, Pro 600, and my mechanical fuel pump is going to get delivered this week. This week sometime. But figure while we're doing all this, we need to upgrade from these old motor mounts. So you can see, got a new motor plate. New mid plate. I'm already starting to lay it all out. What I gotta cut and everything. I have a junk mid plate just for mock up. Kind of show y'all how I did that. So if you're going mid plate, motor plate, the correct way to do it is to set your engine where you want, and then your transmission and your drive shaft is what it is. You measure for your drive shaft last. Well, if y'all recall, I went out couple months ago and bought this really expensive carbon drive shaft, which I am not gonna replace that. I spent way too much money on it, so I'm doing it backwards from everybody. I'm gonna put the transmission in the same place where it was with the motor mount, so my drive shaft still fits, and then I'm just going to actually lower the front of the motor a little bit because it sits up at an angle like this for some reason on these I don't know what brand, Dirty Dingo LS swap mounts. They have the motor sitting pretty high, and I wasn't really liking that. It may be for a good reason, I don't know. May not work at all now if I lower it, but I don't know. We'll see. So I got a junk mid plate in here now. Like I said, I bolted up the transmission in the same spot. I put this old mid plate in here just to mock up, to mark my lines, and yeah, so the mid plate's there, it's going right there. And then for the motor plate, I have to figure out how to fab up some stuff. I got to make a tube from here to here, and the motor plate's going to go to that tube, and then that is where the mount is going to bolt to. Am I a fabricator? No. Do I have tools to do it? Not really. I got a grinder, but I figured I got enough material and enough time. I better learn now, better late than never to learn. So as I'm sitting here laying it out, I kind of want to show you something that I figured out kind of worked really good. So as you can see, I tried to make like a little something to take the shape of the tube. Just cheap try. I have this. I don't ever use 3/32. That did not work. So scratch that one off. Then I got some paper, wrapped it around the pipe, and just taped it to itself, and just started cutting with some scissors to the shape I thought I needed, and that seemed to work pretty good. I ended up coming out with this. This fits correctly using this, but I made it a little short. So like I said, I got plenty of this to keep trying. Well guys, I kind of did a lot off camera, a lot of fitting the tubes, cutting them, grinding them. I mean, it just took a lot of trips to go back and forth. I ended up buying a new belt sander. That made life a lot easier. But so I went ahead, I welded up the mid plate mounts. Not the best welding, but they're on there. I'm sure somebody is gonna say something about them, but it's on there. They're not going anywhere. So now I got the tubes made up already for there. Here's one of them. Just chromoly tube. Gonna try to weld. I've never welded chromoly before, but pretty much just gonna fit right there like that. And fit right there, and I'm gonna weld it like that. And that's gonna be the mid plate. I mean the motor plate. I'm gonna have another piece coming off of this as like a bolt. Like that's what the bolt is gonna bolt to. And another piece of, let me just show you. All right, so that's gonna be on there. This is gonna weld onto this, and it's gonna have a little stool welded in here for the motor plate to sit on. So this piece is what's gonna actually bolt to the motor plate. Of course, I'm gonna cut it and not be a sharp angle like that, but that's how it's gonna work. And a bolt's gonna go through right here and then down here, and that's what's gonna hold on the motor plate. But I can't weld this until I put the motor plate back up there and mock it all up. So I'm gonna tack these in on both sides. You can't see that one. Tack those in and then put the motor back in and find the spot to weld these on. And tack these in, pull the motor out, and then I will weld them all up, and hopefully we'll be done with this. As you can see, we got the motor plate all in. Don't mind the dog barking in the background, it's the neighbors. Got it all welded. Not too happy with it, but they're okay, I guess. The welds could have been better, but you know, whatever. They're in. It ain't going nowhere. Got the mid plate in too, all bolted in, ready to go. So mid plate, motor plate done. Some things I figured out is if you're welding something, if you've seen in the time lapse there that I used a magnet to hold it in place, I figured out don't do that because it magnetizes it, and as you're sitting here trying to stick your filler rod into your puddle, it sticks to this like, you know, obviously like a magnet. So now I learned not to do that while I'm gonna weld something. Don't use a magnet. But other than that, the header still fits around the steering and everything. So I'm pretty happy with it. I dropped the front of the motor 5/8 of an inch. So it sits a little more level than before, which I was really not liking the way it was before. This was more like that. But everything's in place, and that's really kind of it. It was pretty basic, honestly. I lowered the front. I left the transmission in place because of my drive shaft. I didn't want to change that. And so the motor moved forward just a 1/4 inch the size of the mid plate. And then welded these tubes in. Welded the bracket on the back side to bolt it to. And bolted it in. I mean, easy as that. It looks easy on camera because, you know, you're going to see it in 10 minutes. It took me like 3 or 4 days to finish everything, and going to buy more tools I figured out I needed. Like, I went and bought this because this was a lifesaver. 130 bucks from Harbor Freight, 100% worth it. I went and bought this. This helped me a lot, and then I use this to sharpen my tungsten. So That was like 80 bucks or something. It was worth it for sure too. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else to say about it, but there's a mid-plate motor plate in, and it's not bad on an S10 to do it. I did want to add, if you buy a Motion Raceworks one, it will not work with the S10 unless you have your motor sitting way lower than I got mine. That motor plate was way too high up. That's why I actually ended up ordering an ICT billet motor plate and mid plate. But the Motion Raceworks one, the mounting points were like way up here, like below the header right here. It's made for, I guess, more of a race car with a lower motor in it. But just want to throw that in there too. We'll see you next video.